Today on New England Living, we're heading to the North Shore to visit a European-style castle rooted in history. And we'll meet a pair of rug hunters with a special eye for all things vintage, plus a Boston-based custom ski and board shop dedicated to a regional style of craftsmanship and design. It all starts right now on New England Living. New England is full of adventure. I can't believe you guys are letting me do this.
Up and away.
Look at that. Oh, you just did your first takeoff.
Join me as we discover the people and places that make us so unique.
This is it. You can't find it anywhere else in North America.
I mean, does it get any better than this? Love the place you call home with New England Living. Thanks for joining us today on New England Living. I'm your host, Rachel Holt. First up, we're heading to Gloucester for a behind-the-scenes look at a European-style castle along the New England shoreline. Meet Linda Harvey, Executive Director of the Hammond Castle Museum. Linda, it feels like we are in Europe right now. It is hard to believe that we're actually in Gloucester.
That's true. I think that was Hammond's intention. He wanted to leave something in stone that people would remember him by, to have something like the museum, which was originally his intention for this to be a museum. What you'll see in the castle are artifacts that Hammond brought here from Europe. Most of them came by boat and were built into the walls of the castle. When Hammond built the castle, he was intending to be a gift to his wife, but she really didn't like the Gothic at all. There were certain areas that she would decorate herself, and those would be her special touches.
Things you do for love, right?
Yes.
Where can we see her touches inside?
There's a side sanctuary called the Sunroom, and that was her favorite place to sit. It's on the ocean front, so it gathers a lot of sunlight during the daytime, and she just loved to be there and read. As well as that is the New England bedroom, which is on the second floor. It's a gentle, softer touch to it, but there is a secret in the room. Every doorway is covered with wallpaper so that when you close the doors, there's a flat flush look and you won't be able to find the door again unless you were paying attention to where you came in.
Given that it is a lot of effort to run this, I mean, it can't be easy to operate a castle, right? I wouldn't know personally, but I'm guessing. Why is this something that's so important to your mission, to keep this open to the public?
That was Hammond's wish. He really wanted to show not only just the architecture, but his inventions, his contributions to science. He has over 437 patents and is probably the 5th most prolific inventor in the United States. His mission was to build the future and to make it a better place for us all to live.
John Lazath is a Hammond historian and the castle's curatorial director. We're in the library, and the first thing that you'll notice when you're inside is the acoustics.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
So this room was built with what we call a whisper ceiling. It's basically an 18-inch dome. What it does is it amplifies sound. So you have the whisper ceiling, you have the circle shape of the room, and that is what really gives it this effect. It's this echo and this reverberation that you can hear inside your own head, but nobody around you can hear it because all the sound waves are coming back to you at the same time.
In addition to its unique architecture, Hammond's library also contained a unique collection of his favorite books.
Originally, Hammond had about 5,000 or so books, although in his will, he wanted half of his collection to be donated mostly to a local library, Sawyer Free Library here in Gloucester.
What are some of those other unique features that you can find in this castle?
Our visitors tend to be really wowed by the Great Hall. It's this very medieval atmosphere. It's based on a 13th century French Gothic cathedral. We have our courtyard. It's actually inspired by a very similar courtyard at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston. And what this is it's kind of meant to seem like a French village built around ancient Roman ruins, like a medieval French village. It has this glass ceiling called the clear story, so it's sort of like a greenhouse. At times in old photos, it looked like a tropical jungle because Hammond had all these trees and plants there. There was a weather system installed so he could make it rain or make it really foggy in there. Apparently, he used to use that to play jokes on people too. If he had a late dinner guest, they walked through the courtyard. On their way to the dining room, he'd turn on the water and soak them, and they'd have to eat in their wet clothing. People, for example, when they go to the courtyard, they might notice the statue that we have that was actually based on Hammond himself. Au naturel for the most part. So these are some common things that people tend to beeline towards.
When you think about the great American inventors, Hammond might not be the first person that comes to mind. What were some of his contributions?
Well, I like to say Hammond is the best inventor you've never heard of. He was so prolific. He invented everything from toys and games to kitchen appliances, mobile homes, robotic dogs in 1912. I mean, come on. The guy was restless. He was mentored by Thomas Edison. He met him at the age of 12 when he toured his laboratory with his father. He also was taken under the wing of Alexander Graham Bell in college while he was studying at Yale. He even worked with Nikola Tesla. So missile guidance systems, drones, RC cars, all of that stuff traces its lineage back here to the Hammond Radio Research Laboratory in Gloucester, Massachusetts.
When you're inside, this really has the feel of a European castle. Where was he sourcing his artifacts from?
We're in the dining room right now, which is actually a great example of the diversity in terms of what Hammond was collecting. The walls around us are German from the 15th century. And they come from a German monastery specifically. We also have floor tiles, which are Italian in origin. 15th century as well. Now only about 25 of them are original. The rest were high quality replicas made by the Moravian Tile Works in Pennsylvania. Above our heads are Spanish ceiling tiles. All of those are original, also 15th century. And the table here, this is also German. This is 16th century, very long and narrow, typical of tables at the time. But we have so many other pieces from far-flung countries. A lot of Italian pieces, a lot of ancient Roman pieces, for example. Our courtyard is filled with relics from ancient Rome, like our 2nd century child-sized sarcophagus. Hammond had a lot of diverse interests in terms of the artifacts he was collecting.
As far as the giant pipe organ is concerned, this took 10 years to make. This was quite the process. And is it true that he didn't even play the instrument?
That's true. He was not an organist. The extent of his sort of musical skill was he was sort of an amateurist, at the violin. But for the most part, he was just a music lover. So he would invite organists to play here, world-class musicians to give concerts, also to record record albums. But in addition, it was able to play itself. Similar to a player piano, you could have rolls containing music compositions. Hammond had over 1,000 of these at his peak.
How are you helping preserve Hammond's legacy and keep it going?
So what we're doing is, in addition to creating a lot of content in our exhibits and our digital offerings, we also have a lot of community outreach. We like to have a lot of events here. Everything from STEM events for kids, teaching them how to build things like robots, to weddings, to different events that sort of try to celebrate the medieval aspects of this place. But the man who built it is important too, and his scientific legacy is important too, and that's what we're really focusing on these days. We want to make sure that people understand there's a lot to this place and more than meets the eye.
Coming up after the break, we'll meet a couple vintage rug enthusiasts scouring the region to bring their followers the ultimate curated experience. When New England Living returns after this. Welcome back to New England Living. I'm Rachel Holt. Up next, we're staying on the North Shore to meet husband and wife rug hunters Josh and Lindsay Graziano, partners and founders of New England Loom. Tell us about New England Loom and what goes on in here.
So we sell primarily antique and vintage rugs. That's the core of our business, and also small collections of ottomans, shoes, fanny packs, bags, all made from reupholstered or repurposed rug fragments.
How do you go about finding all of these rugs?
So we do source about 70% of our rugs directly from Turkey. We have great wholesale contacts over there. We have really close relationships with them. We also do a lot of, probably 30% is hunting throughout New England. We go to a lot of estate sales, a lot of antique stores. We hunt as much as we can and kind of try to give rugs new life that way as well. Being in New England, there's a lot of people that have had rugs in their family for hundreds of years. So if there's an estate sale, we can go in and there's just treasures to be found.
When you're hunting for these rugs, whether you're seeing them in person or in photos, what are you looking for?
We're really looking for sizes that are in demand right now, really skinny runners that are hard to find for those narrow hallways, 9x12 sizes that are kind of the standard for a living room, just sizes that we really see sell out fast and that are in demand. Also colors that are trending, and then anything that's just really unique.
Sometimes you come across crazy little gems like this flying monkey, but we love them.
We spend hours looking through thousands of rugs to maybe find 10 to 20 that we bring into our shop. We try to source a mix of what we call antique washed rugs, which are a little more muted, and original vegetable dyed rugs, which are a little moodier. Because we have customers for both, we try to just source a mix.
You're very popular on Instagram, not only with the rugs, but also the star of the show here, Mowgli. How much has that been a part of your business?
Instagram's our main marketing channel, definitely. It's a very visual platform, and obviously you can see that rugs just lend themselves really well to such a visual space.
What can we find here in your storefront in Wenham?
We have a sampling of some of our little tiny Turkish rugs that people can bring home, a few pairs of our shoes for people to try on, bags that people can kind of touch and feel, but it's just a small sampling of what we offer. There's obviously a large segment of people that aren't confident enough to buy online, and that's totally fine, and that's why we have the shop now. So it's great for those people to come in and be able to see it in person and touch it and feel it, and even take it home on loan if they want to see it in their space.
New England in general has such an appreciation for antiques. What is it like having your business and selling these vintage products in a place where they're so sought after?
There's so much history in the antique rug world in New England. There's so many old homes with old pine floors or old planking, and they just lend themselves really well to antique rugs. So we're really just happy to be part of it.
Yeah, it's definitely great to be able to put the history of the rugs in with a lot of these very historic houses as well. So, you know, you have houses with a lot of character, and the rugs match that character with their one-of-a-kindness.
What makes a rug like this worth the investment? What makes it so special?
Sometimes a rug like the one that you're standing on probably took a century to make. So every little design that goes into it, every little pattern or color was something that the weaver decided at the time. They're all made by hand, they're all one of a kind, and they will last your whole lifetime.
Besides the traditional floor rug, what are you offering in terms of home goods here?
So we're offering a small collection of Killam mules, which are shoes, and that kind of segued into offering a bunch of other Killam goods like benches, fanny packs, duffel bags. The bulk of our products are made overseas in Turkey by a very skilled artisan who works with leather and Killam goods. So he makes all of our fanny packs with his team, all the shoes, which are all one of a kind, and a lot of our ottomans. There are a small collection of benches that we do make in-house. Josh makes them right in our garage.
Yeah, so we do like a small wooden frame bench, and then we have like a 3-inch cushion, and we take some of the fragments that we have and we'll put it on our wooden frame.
The shoes are great too because they can now wear the shoes to their friends' houses or on trips. We call them the rugs you can finally wear inside and outside of the home. It's something that if people really love rugs as much as we do, you can now rock them out in the real world and not just have to have them on your floors.
Not only are you business owners, a builder, you also are photographers. You're taking pictures of all these rugs, so what's the process behind that?
So our patio at our house is actually our studio for the bulk of the year, taking photos of the rugs in natural light to really show off their colors and kind of give them the photos and the story that they deserve. One day I hope that we have some grand studio, but for now it's very simple, but it kind of lets the rugs speak for themselves and really shows them off in beautiful natural light.
For you both, it must feel like preserving this piece of art, but also this piece of history and passing it on for other generations to enjoy.
A lot of people that come in here say that they can't wait to pass the rug down to their kids, or they're new couples with a baby starting a home that they're already like testing the rug out with their kid crawling on it, or their kids will come in and do cartwheels to make sure it's soft enough. But yeah, it's definitely something that people know that they're gonna have in their house for a very long time.
For you both, what is the most rewarding part of this?
I think for us, it's seeing the perfect rug land in the perfect spot. Just seeing how happy people are with that, and that when they message us and they're like, we wake up every morning and smile looking at it, that's the best part.
Coming up next, custom built in Boston and used on mountains across the world. We'll visit one of the fastest growing ski and snowboard brands in the country when New England Living returns after this. Welcome back to New England Living. Up next, we're heading to East Boston to check out Parlor, one of the largest custom ski and snowboard shops in New England, with co-founder Mark Wallace. How did this business come about?
Me and a couple of my college ski racing friends were sitting around and we were sort of seeing if we could come up with a better way to manufacture skis and also one that honors the New England tradition of ski building. We felt like there was some opportunity within the process of building where we could customize more, both graphics and specification-wise, to make the ski better for people, and also to connect the manufacturer with the end user a lot more closely and create a better buying experience. We started as a hobby actually in an abandoned funeral parlor in Cambridge. People started finding out about it and they liked the skis, and we've since then grown to be the largest ski manufacturer in New England.
How are you catering specifically to the New England skier or snowboarder?
I think, the New England skiers and snowboarders are a really passionate crew, and so we wanted to provide that group with a product and an experience that's really tailored for their interests.
What are some of those ways that you can customize skis or snowboards here?
All of our custom skis and snowboards start with a fitting, which is either in person or online. You work with one of our graphic design team to come up with whatever you want on the top sheet. We do a lot of dogs, we do a lot of bands, we do a lot of mountains and rivers and things. So anything that's connected to you that's personal, we can put on the top sheet. And then we also customize all the specifications, right? So you may prefer groomed, high-speed groomed skiing or tight wood skiing, and those all have different specs to the skis that make them better or worse at that. Somebody's tall and heavy or short and thin. We can make little adjustments to the build to answer all those questions.
How are you honoring the tradition of ski making here in New England?
There's really a rich history of ski making, and if you track it all the way back to when skiing was first beginning, like right after the war in New England, there were literally hundreds of ski manufacturing companies from New Jersey to Maine. And they were bending wood skis, ash skis, and they made them very locally, and people had a lot of brand loyalty to that. We just felt that since there is such a rich history of craftsmanship here, right, not only ski building, but boat building and carpentry and sort of that New England utility, that it would be really cool to bring ski manufacturing back to New England and to make those products locally again.
Describe what the New England skier or snowboarder is up against and how you're helping them when they're on the mountain.
Probably the biggest thing people say is like the variability of conditions, right? Like you'll have days in New England that are amazing, like beyond amazing, deep powder, like great. You'll have days that are not so awesome, like they're really hard or scratchy snow. And I think having a product that's designed for those conditions and that's also customized to your body type and style really gives you confidence to ski better on your good days and the not so good days.
When it comes to skiing and snowboarding, it seems like the West gets all the love. But what makes the New England skiers special?
Yeah, I think, the New England skiers are a hardy crew in general. There's such amazing terrain here, and there's such amazing history here. Like the trails, they're tight trails, they sort of wind, they're interesting. You're in the trees, you're in the woods, right? The West Coast is amazing, but a lot of it's open. And I think that there's a dynamicness and creativity that's sort of forced by skiing in a place like New England. It's really interesting.
A big part of what you do too is the build classes. What goes on in those?
Several years ago, our clients were asking more about how does the process work? How do you actually build a ski? And so we started offering a Build Your Own Skis class, where you can come in and work with us for 2 days. And you actually go through every step of the manufacturing process as if you're one of our employees. And you can actually craft and build your own pair of skis.
What are some of those ways that you can customize your own skis?
So graphics is probably the biggest area of customization, right?
And the most fun.
It depends on who you are, right? A lot of our clients are really focused on the technical specs, but a lot of people are focused on the aesthetics and also just that ability to create a representation of your personality, like through a physical product, is pretty unique, and people really seem to resonate with that.
How are you tailoring those skis to each specific person?
There are a bunch of different factors that go into it. Length, side cut, rocker, flex pattern, graphics. And so by understanding who the skier is, what their technique is, what kind of terrain they're on, we can actually modify all of those different elements of the construction of the ski in order to make it match perfectly for them.
Everything happens right here in the facility in East Boston, so walk me through what goes on here.
So you can think of sort of ski manufacturing in 3 main steps. There's part production, which is graphics, base, and core. That's all done on the CNC or the graphics printer. Then there's the lamination process where we put it all together. You can think of skis a little bit like lasagna. There's like a 2-part resin that holds all the layers together. And then there's cutout and finishing. So we use a series of bandsaws and router bits and sanders and then some highly specialized ski tuning equipment to put the finishing touches on the ski.
What makes a parlor ski a parlor ski?
I think it's really the quality and the attention to detail and the sort of thoroughness of the process from start to finish that makes our products distinct and unique. That process in and of itself becomes a huge part of the brand. I'm accessible, you can go look at the ski being made, you can see the materials that you know like that the craftsman's hands have been on it so many times. You can feel that when you ski on it, right? It feels like it was made for you because it was.
When you're out on the slopes, what is it like seeing the parlor name when you're on the mountain?
Oh, it's so fun, you know. I think it's like there's a lot of community that's been built up around the brand as sort of one of these unintended things that came along. Our clients will call all the time and be like, oh, I met so-and-so, they were on Parlor, we ended up going to the bar, and we hung out, and having this local access is really amazing. And for me, when you see it out there, it's like when you see somebody having fun on something that you built and you sold them, it's like, it's a pretty big rush. It's definitely exciting.
This started out as an idea between college buddies. Now you're the largest ski manufacturer in New England. What's your hope for Parlor? What's next?
We just want to keep making people happy on the mountain, right? We've grown to a size where we can deliver like a really high quality product, but also still it's very personal. I get to deal with almost all of our clients one-on-one, and that's the type of experience people expect from Parlor, and that we're going to continue to deliver that. So it's all about continuing to engage with the New England ski community here and provide the best product we can for them.
Coming up after the break, an experiential high seas adventure program dedicated to youth development. Welcome back to the show. It's time now to go around New England to Vineyard Haven for the adventure of a lifetime. Brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers. The Foundation for Underway Experiential Learning, or FUEL for short, is a nonprofit organization started in 2017 with a mission to inspire youth through voyages aboard sailing ships, in particular, the 152-foot Shenandoah, a 19th century tall ship based in Vineyard Haven. Offering overnight sailing experiences to people of all ages, guests have the opportunity to travel back in time and be an active part of the ship's crew. FUEL's popular youth voyages are geared specifically towards kids ages 9 through 17, taking the classroom outdoors in a setting like no other. This transformative, hands-on experience has it all, from sailing lessons and small boat rowing to swimming and group games. Participants learn how to haul the sails, navigate the seas, and of course, benefit from the growth and friendships that come along with it. And best of all, no prior sailing experience is necessary. Thank you for joining us today on New England Living. For more on the show or anything you've seen here today, visit us at newenglandliving.tv and follow us on social media. I'm Rachel Holt. See you next time on New England Living.